The Michael teachings are a fascinating system of channeled wisdom that explores the psychology of the soul. Using a unique set of tools that charts your spiritual progression from the first incarnation to last, the Michael teachings expand the evolution of consciousness by helping people develop greater self-awareness and more tolerance and compassion for others. Learning about the Michael teachings helps you recognize your overall development in the reincarnational cycle, shows you where you are on the path, what lessons you will encounter, why you are here, and what is yet to come. It also helps you understand the unique qualities you bring to the world and why people and societies are the way that they are. And we'll have more of that up next. The Michael entity is a collective of 1,050 souls who've completed their incarnations on Earth and evolved to a higher plane of existence. As with many other spiritual teachers, Michael's knowledge is conveyed to the physical plane through the use of human channels. These channeled teachings were first published in a book by Chelsea Quinn Yarbro entitled Messages from Michael, and it paved the way for many publications to come. A fundamental aspect of Michael's wisdom is that the meaning of existence is, in a nutshell, life. There is nothing else. The experiences we gather from living day after day, lifetime after lifetime, constitute the essential components necessary to grow spiritually. No secret rituals, special meditations, or any other esoteric practices are required. Life itself is the only lesson plan needed to move forward. From this continual dance, we eventually learn the following tenet. We are here to learn how to choose and to choose how to learn. Unlike familiar information provided by Seth or Abraham, which largely focuses on the principles of conscious creation, the Michael teachings brings a unique perspective to our physical plane explorations, centering on the spiritual growth of the soul. Because these teachings are not based on dogmatic principles or a requirement to adopt rigid belief systems, the merits of the material can be self-validated and that which doesn't resonate tossed aside. Belief is not required. The core of the teachings involves learning to develop self-acceptance and tolerance for others. This is fostered through a set of tools that Michael calls overleaves. The overleaves describe the various attributes of our personality, showing us how we perceive and interact with our world. By learning about these personality traits, we can better understand the inherent behavioral patterns of ourselves and the people around us. It is not the intention of the Michael teachings to pass judgment or, in the words of the occasional detractor, place people in boxes. The teachings simply reveal the unconscious tendencies or default settings that help color each personality with a unique stamp. The journey of the soul begins when it is cast from the Tao. Michael prefers the term Tao rather than God because the word God has become more masculinized in society. Think of your soul as a spark of consciousness released from the Tao into the physical world. Once on the physical, you begin your reincarnational cycle, the coin of the realm in the Michael teachings. Before you incarnate, however, you choose a role or soul type and a set of overleaves or personality traits that lend additional layers of specificity and growth-inducing challenges to your life journey. Life would be no fun if it were always easy. Entering the corporeal reality of the physical plane also brings another challenge, the law of duality. Physical existence is awash with dualities. Think of common polarities such as up and down, black and white, and good and evil. Each of the roles and overleaves also fluctuate between polarities, the positive and negative poles, with one side emphasizing love and the other emphasizing fear. While there is no judgment placed on the dual nature of these energies, occupying the positive pole of a roll or overleaf enables a greater connection to the true or authentic self, the influence of essence or the higher self, whereas the negative poles are governed by false personality or ego. Selected from one of 7 roles or soul types, your role serves as the blueprint for who you are and how you interact with others. It is your primary way of being. A role is maintained by a soul for the entire reincarnational cycle, which can range from as few as 37 to over 1,000 lifetimes. A particular role is not more praised or sought after than another, as each role offers a unique set of experiences of equal value. 6 of the roles are in pairs, referred to by Michael as the inspiration, expression, and action axis. One role occupies a neutral category called the assimilation axis, and this is discussed more intensively in other articles. The 7 roles. Servers and priests are aligned with the inspiration axis and are roles that dedicate themselves to the service and spiritual evolution of the soul and to the physical needs of the people on the planet. A server might be the kindly nurse or doctor that took care of you at the hospital, or a world-beloved humanitarian like Mother Teresa. In the positive poles, servers are capable, caring, competent, devoted, friendly, inspiring, loving, nurturing, practical, sweet, trustworthy, and warm. Other servers are Doris Day, Sally Field, Al Gore, John Kerry, the Dalai Lama, and Susan Sarandon. A priest might be your local minister or an inspiring figure on the world stage, such as President Obama. In the positive poles, priests are compassionate, guiding, enthusiastic, healing, humanitarians, inspirational, nurturing, on a mission, visionary, and spiritual. Other priests are Julie Andrews, Edgar Cayce, Bob Dylan, Martin Luther King, and Bruce Springsteen. Artisans and sages are aligned with the expression axis and are devoted to expression, the artisan through creativity, and the sage via communication. An artisan might be the local artist who paints seascapes at the beach, or an actor on the big screen, such as Audrey Hepburn. Artisans in the positive poles are creative, dreamy, fresh, imaginative, inventive, innovative, original, spontaneous, and stylish. Other artisans are Matthew Broderick, Princess Diana, Scarlett Johansson, Natalie Portman, and Vincent van Gogh. A sage might be a popular novelist like Stephen King or the actor-comedian Jim Carrey. Sages in positive poles are articulate, colorful, dramatic, entertaining, enthralling, expressive, friendly, fun-loving, humorous, informative, knowledgeable, light-hearted, good storytellers, and wise. Other sages are Leonard Bernstein, Bill Clinton, Tina Fey, Howard Stern, and Oprah Winfrey. Warriors and kings are aligned with the action axis, and they are the great mobilizers in society. They express their nature by taking action. A warrior might be the policeman that came to your rescue when your car broke down in traffic, or a dynamic and magnetic charmer like Harrison Ford. Warriors in the positive poles are deliberate, energetic, determined, focused, grounded, organized, principled, productive, protective, proud, skillful, and survivors. Other warriors are Judi Dench, Jessica Lange, Oliver Stone, Barbra Streisand, and Kathleen Turner. A king might be the CEO of a major corporation or the actor that played James Bond, Sean Connery. Kings in the positive poles are benevolent, charismatic, commanding, composed, comprehensive, inspirers of loyalty, magnanimous, masterful, natural leaders, strategists, and troubleshooters. Other kings are Susan B. Anthony, Cate Blanchett, James Cameron, Sean Connery, and Katharine Hepburn. Scholars are neutral and assimilators of knowledge. They are profoundly curious and document the experiences that interest them. A scholar might be your college history professor or a favorite writer of literary fiction. Scholars in the positive poles are adventurous, curious, easygoing, grounded, knowledgeable, local, mediating, methodical, neutral, and observant. Other famous scholars are Jane Austen, Emily Dickinson, Anthony Hopkins, William Shakespeare, and Emma Thompson. Since our role remains the same throughout the reincarnational cycle, to gather a variety of experiences, we choose a set of personality attributes, or overleaves, for each new lifetime. The overleaves show how we pre-incarnationally decided to experience life, providing a roadmap for what it means to be human and how to operate from the true personality, the state of being where spiritual growth occurs. The main overleaves are goal, the significant issues that motivate us, mode, our means of expression, attitude, our life perspective, and center, how we react. The goals. We choose one of 7 goals for a lifetime. The goals are reevaluation, growth, discrimination, acceptance, submission, dominance, and flow. Reevaluation simplifies and rids the life of unnecessary distractions to focus on 1 or 2 issues. Growth is a life busy with challenges and hurdles, yet a person with this goal longs to tackle even more. Discrimination creates critics who reject in life what doesn't meet their exacting standards. Acceptance produces highly agreeable and friendly people who accept others, warts and all. Submission is selflessly devoted to a cause or person, serving with unwavering support and commitment. Dominance is driven to lead with a motivation to control and direct what is encountered. And flow is about rest and not fighting against the current. It seeks the path of least resistance. To better grasp the influence that your goal can have on your life, think of your life as an unfinished poem. Each new stanza leads you to a conclusion or observation about something, but until you can read the poem in its entirety, the meaning remains unclear. Even the finished poem, in some instances, can seem meaningless if its words appear without direction. Your goal, therefore, is what it means, the sum of your poem, the reason you wrote the words in the first place. And while it is often normal not to know the precise meaning of a poem as you write it, knowing your goal helps to remove the unnecessary clutter of words to distract you from the intended purpose of, in this case, your life. Your goal is the theme of your life, the take-home value, if you will, that connects everything that you ever strived for to a common purpose. Finding the common theme is one way to identify your goal and thus determine if you are on track with essence and not losing your focus with too many tangential themes. The modes. We all choose one of 7 modes for a lifetime, and the modes are reserve, passion, caution, power, perseverance, aggression, and observation. Reserve is characterized by emotional restraint, discipline, and an appreciation for beauty. Passion loses itself in an intensity of emotion or energy. Unbridled enthusiasm is the modus operandi. Caution hits the brakes on balanced enthusiasm and plays it safe, choosing more deliberation before taking action. Power is a voice of authority, expressing all opinions with confidence and unmistakable presence. Perseverance is the Energizer Bunny that keeps going and going and going. Aggression is highly assertive and ready to take a stand. And then finally, observation looks at life with detachment. They quickly absorb the details of their environment. The modes govern how we approach life and how we accomplish our goal. If we're in dominance, for instance, are we passionately dominant or cautiously dominant? The modes also express how we live our life, with either perseverance, aggression, reserve, and so on. Essentially, our modes add the necessary spice to life that flavors our experiences and prevents unnecessary blandness. The attitudes. The attitudes are stoic, spiritualist, skeptic, idealist, cynic, realist, and pragmatist. Stoics do not make waves. They accept the world as is and never get flustered by the sticker shock of life. Spiritualists are inspired by the possibilities of what could be and are guided to whatever is visionary and uplifting. Skeptics take nothing on faith and insist on investigating any unsupported claims. Idealists embrace life with an enthusiasm for positive change in the world. Cynics often expect the worst and find amusement in life's absurdities. Realists weigh the facts and view life as it is without embellishment. Pragmatists are efficient, practical, and keenly interested in what gets the most results. The attitudes represent the overall outlook, frame of reference, or the lens through which we view life. Are we skeptical or idealistic? Cynical or realistic? The attitudes are the most malleable overleaf, meaning our outlook can easily change if we so desire, but this also means our attitude is often the first to go when things become negative, potentially starting a negative chain reaction that derails the goal and the mode as well. This effectively spoils the party for the rest of your overleaves and drags everything down to the level of the unruly guest that gets sick in the punch bowl. The centers. The centers regulate how we react to the world around us. They can be thought of as a window that looks out at the world. There are 7 centers in all, and 4 that are used routinely: emotional, intellectual, moving, and physical, as well as 2 that are rarely used for prolonged centering, the higher emotional and higher intellectual, although we always have access to them for conceptual insights and bouts of emotional ecstasy. The higher centers are considered transformational states of awareness, and they are not dominant in our experiences, encountered mostly during meditative states or peak states activated from exposure to music, art, and sex. Since prolonged exposure to the higher centers eventually burns out the body, no one is ever centered for more than brief periods there. The instinctive center can also be used as a primary center, but this is extremely rare since it operates in the background of our lives already. Centers usually represent the most prominent part of a person, especially how the person is perceived by other people. They are a vital component in the Michael teachings, but are often misunderstood or overlooked by most students. However, mastering how to react from the center that's most appropriate is an important part of spiritual growth. Here's a quick overview of the centers. The emotional center experiences life through feelings and the emotional connections they have with others. The intellectual center experiences life through the power of thought and analysis or left brain thinking. The physical center reacts to the world by imploding. The reaction is physical, like the moving center, but internalized. The moving center experiences life through physical movement and action. The moving centered are always on the go. The chief features. The 7 chief features are self-deprecation, arrogance, self-destruction, greed, martyrdom, impatience, and stubbornness. Self-deprecation is a fear of inadequacy. Arrogance is a fear of being judged. Self-destruction is a fear of losing control. Greed is a fear of not having enough. Martyrdom is a fear of feeling worthless. Impatience is a fear of missing out. And stubbornness is the fear of change. The chief fears are chronic phobias that act as a persistent obstacle during a lifetime. They are generated by the false personality in late adolescence and are the only overleaf that can be changed or eliminated, although it requires considerable effort and it is a rare feat. The chief fears bear some similarity to the 7 deadly sins in the Bible or the kleshas in Buddhism. They differ from negative poles in that they pertain to social pressures and concerns, whereas the negative poles affect the core being of a person. Misinterpretations of painful events during childhood often shape the course of a chief fear, where false personality, in an attempt to protect itself from further pain, fortifies its perceived vulnerability with a wall of protection against what it fears the most, such as a fear of missing out, impatience, or fear of not having enough, greed. Your chief fear is often accompanied by a secondary fear. The primary fear distorts the goal, and the secondary disrupts the attitude. In this scenario, the primary chief fear, in its misguided attempt to protect the goal, actually impedes its progress by clouding the energy in an atmosphere of anxiety and apprehension. The same occurs with the secondary fear that distorts the positive virtues of the attitude. The ideal way of diffusing the chief fears is to come to the realization that they are simply facades erected by false personality that serve no useful purpose other than to create discord and difficulty in life. Michael often suggests photographing the fears, which is similar to mindfulness exercises in Eastern religion. As we continue through our thread of lifetimes, gathering experiences, learning lessons, and fulfilling agreements, an evolutionary process transpires, and this course of development is called soul age. Soul age charts the growth a person has attained during their many incarnations or past lives. The number of past lives lived is not as important as the spiritual development achieved, although one soul age is not any better than another. Soul age symbolizes the school of life, and each step along the way is a vital part of the curriculum. There are 5 soul ages that we progress through during our cycle on the physical plane. Infant souls deal with issues of survival. Life experience is usually primitive at this level and leans towards the rituals and customs of tribal cultures. Infant souls often incarnate near the equator, where less frigid temperatures allow them to thrive without modern shelter. Baby souls have a need for structure and tend to live according to beliefs based on dogma, such as religion. They are all about following and enforcing rules. Baby souls are typically model citizens that do the right thing, but their rigid black and white thinking betrays a lack of complexity in their personalities. For this reason, they prefer the conservative cocoon of small-town life and can be found scattered across Middle America. Baby souls are also well represented in the Middle East and other areas of the world where religious fundamentalism thrives. Young souls are success-oriented. Some of them set personal achievement at all costs and are about winning and leaving their mark in the world. They are ambitious with a capital A, relentlessly pushing for more wealth, power, and esteem. Young souls do not like to lose. They are goal-driven workers and entrepreneurs who exemplify the U.S. Army's motto of "Be all you can be." Technological innovations in enterprise often flourish at this stage, leading to many modern conveniences and benefits. Young soul countries include Japan, China, Israel, Germany, Saudi Arabia, Australia, and the United States. Mature souls are relationship-focused and tend to gravitate towards emotional connection and sometimes drama. They are interested in creating deeper bonds with people in their community, fulfilling a need to explore their inner world. Emotions can be intense at this level, leading to greater creativity and a strong stance on social and environmental issues. Mature soul countries include Italy, Greece, England, and parts of Mexico. Old souls seek the larger perspective of life and have less interest in playing the material game. They have detached from the emotions in the mature soul state and favor a live and let live approach to life. Although quite competent, old souls are often out of touch with the mainstream world and lean toward an interest in spiritual growth. Old souls do not come to a full awareness of their soul age until age 35. Successfully advancing through each soul age stage is dependent on progressing through the 7 levels of each soul age, as well as the completion of the internal monads. Each soul age consists of 7 levels of development that must be completed before graduating to the next soul age. A soul level typically lasts 3 lifetimes to complete, sometimes more, sometimes less. An infant soul, for example, would begin at level 1 and gradually progress through 6 more levels before moving up to the baby soul stage. This continues until the 7th level of the old stage is reached. All in all, as Varda Hasselman mentions in her book, there are 35 levels in total that must be completed before cycling off the planet, the 35 steps of the reincarnational cycle. If you include the levels of the internal monads, which are discussed next, there are actually 245 steps required to complete the reincarnational cycle. The internal monads, similar to the rites of passage or stages of human development, are a chronological series of life lessons marked by 7 major transitional points during the lifetime. The change that occurs at these stages can be unusually difficult and even traumatic for some souls, but if the change is handled successfully, a peaceful plateau unfolds that extends to the next monad. The first stage is birth. The child takes the first breath and instills hope for the life to be lived. The second is early childhood, where the child learns to walk and talk and develop self-awareness. The third is late adolescence, where the young adult seeks independence and learns to make his way in the world. The fourth is the midlife, typically a tumultuous period where the adult begins to question the meaning of existence. There may be less interest in playing the societal game at this stage and an urge to write a new story for the remainder of the life. The fifth is the life review, or golden years. At this point, the experiences of the life are evaluated and compared to what had been originally intended. The sixth is dying, or the onset of what will cause death. And the seventh is death itself and the return to the astral or afterlife. Learning to recognize the manifestations of false personality is an essential part of the Michael teachings. False personality is the fabricated part of self, a distorted sculpture you chip away at over a lifetime that bears little resemblance to your true self, yet you have coerced yourself into believing it is your true likeness. False personality is the lie you tell yourself each day, a lie that feeds off your justifications, distortions of self, and erroneous assumptions. Fortunately, false personality is not difficult to recognize if one does not deny its existence. False personality, however, lives in the darkest corners of all that incarnate, and is the chief reason why so many incarnating souls are spiritually asleep and disconnected from essence. The Michael teachings helps you recognize the unwelcome traverses of false personality by revealing your natural tendencies for negativity and how they typically manifest. This is accomplished by knowing your negative poles and chief features and learning how to effectively navigate them. In the end, it is really a balancing act between the polarity of love and fear. Michael, through me, spoke a little about love and fear, and I will conclude this article with their words. A Michael student asked, "If we are vessels to hold and spread love in our lifetime, then how is it that sometimes this vessel of mine will spread other than love? Where does this other than love come from?" Michael's response: "You refer to a goal sought by all fragments during their incarnations. We know firsthand of the struggles involved in this journey, and want you to understand that the attainment of agape, or unconditional love, is a worthwhile goal even if its fulfillment eludes your grasp at times. On the other hand, if we condensed agape into a bowl of soup, for example, and you only managed to get one spoonful per day, you would still be doing good work. Based on what we can see of your life, though, we think you are far ahead of most. We sense that you are too hard on yourself and want to remind you that if you swallow hot soup all at once, it will only scald your throat. There is nothing wrong in sipping life's lessons one spoonful at a time. Regarding your vessel, only two energies can occupy its space, love and fear. Fear is a seduction that's greater than any sexual caress, and when it charms and engulfs your vessel, as you call it, one recourse is to stop judging the feeling and momentarily accept what it has to offer. Seeing fear from this perspective allows you to quickly learn what the opposite polarity feels like. With this comparison, there will be less fear of letting go and a greater ease in releasing negativity. Fearing fear is just as self-perpetuating as loving love, and although we will not say it's easy, the energy you choose to perpetuate during your lifetime is ultimately your choice.